Christianity has been the dominant religion of the West for nearly 2,000 years. It became the official religion of the Roman Empire in the year 313, which meant that almost everyone within the Roman Empire was forced to become the specific type of Christian that the Romans promoted. That was the religion's original foothold in Europe. After Rome fell, the only institution that survived was the Roman Catholic Church, which enforced the primacy of Christianity amongst Europeans for centuries. Then, during the Enlightenment and Renaissance, European nations colonized much of the rest of the world, spreading Christianity wherever they went, and enforcing Christian worship whenever they could. Given that power politics were such an important part of the history and spread of Christianity, anyone who looks at the religion critically, and especially anyone who wants to question the validity of Christianity's mainstream teachings, is someone who is willing to swim against a massive tide of history. Elaine Pagels is such a person. The first thing we should mention about her is that she is a Christian. She believes that something miraculous happened through the life of Jesus Christ. We think that this faith is what gives her the strength to write the things she does. She constantly goes back to the life of Jesus Christ for insights into who he was, what he said, and why he became as influential as he did. What makes her radical is this: she uses any source she can find. She goes back to the original texts, and she uses all of them to try to figure out what happened. This is simply not allowed in mainstream Christianity. In mainstream Christianity, they give you the Bible, tell you that God wrote it, and that's it. You must believe it is the Word of God. But how did the New Testament come into existence? Clearly, God did not actually write it down and then drop it in the mail for some ancient publisher to print. How did the story of Jesus actually come into history? According to our calendar, Jesus was born in the year 0. Christianity didn't become the official religion of the Roman Empire for 300 years. What was going on during those 300 years? Well, quite a bit, in fact. There were different Christian sects, and they had significantly different beliefs. Some claimed that Jesus was the Jewish Messiah. Some said he was not the Messiah. Some claimed he died and then came back to life. Others thought that such a belief was ridiculous. Some thought he was the Son of God, a divine being, while others thought he was a great teacher, like Solomon or Moses. Some thought that Jesus was unique in all of history, while others thought that Mary Magdalene was just as important as Jesus, and that she was a goddess in the same way Jesus was a god. And many ancient scholars thought that the entire Jesus story was so similar to the story of Horus, an Egyptian god who united all of Egypt, that they felt Christianity was just a throwback to Egyptian paganism. These debates were carried out by intelligent people, and many of their writings survive. In those early years, Christians didn't agree about the story of Jesus' life, and they didn't agree that Jesus was the Messiah, and they didn't even agree that Jesus was divine. But when Christianity became Rome's official religion, debates and disagreements were no longer allowed. In 329, there was a meeting called the Council of Nicaea, and at that meeting, church leaders went through all the various writings about Jesus at the time and decided what was official and what was going to be thrown out. They decided what was sacred, and they decided what was heresy. And then the Roman police went out across the empire to eliminate the heretics. Gentle Christians who had been meeting and worshiping Jesus for hundreds of years were suddenly branded evil heretics by the official Christians in Rome. Pursued and arrested by the Roman police, they had two choices: either convert or be killed. Most converted, but their sacred writings were taken away from them and they were burned. A few fled and went into hiding, and one group took copies of all of their sacred books and put them in a clay jar. They took the clay jar to a cave near the town of Nag Hammadi in southern Egypt, and they carefully hid the jar. No one found it until 1945. The contents of this jar are precious beyond belief. For 2,000 years, the story of Christ was contained in the New Testament, the official version enforced by the Roman police. Now, all of a sudden, a whole other set of texts about Jesus were discovered, some written by people who knew him. They became known as the Gnostic Gospels, and Pagels is one of the best scholars out there writing about them. This book will present Jesus and Christianity to you in a way you have never experienced, and your understanding of Christianity will be forever enriched by it.